Hey there, welcome. You know what? Ruben and I are so grateful that you're here. Do us a favor if you can, subscribe to our channel, ring that bell, and you know what? That would just help us out a lot. And I hope you're enjoying the channel. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Hey there, welcome to Pod and Deliver. Tonight we have a guest, Ruben, Herman Cerda. And you know, before you share anything, Herman, I just want to say to the audience, just to be upfront, Herman's been my boss a couple times as an assistant principal many years ago, almost 25 years ago, and then as a principal at a high school. But Herman, I know you had other positions. Can you tell the audience a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. This is my 30th year. I was about to complete my 30th year in about 4 months.
Oh, wow.
December 31st, as a matter of fact. And so, yeah, I was a teacher assistant, bilingual aide, all the way to elementary school teacher, middle school teacher, never at the high school level, but assistant principal for middle school, which is what got me into secondary. I worked in multiple local districts, regions, whatever you want to call them, and now they're unified because they change them every time they get a new superintendent. And I was in Watts, Markham. I was my first assignment in Watts as an assistant principal. Then that's where I joined ELC, and that's where I met you as an assistant principal of secondary counseling services, generic AP principal of two, at the time, very large middle schools, middle school and high school, which was Southgate Middle School. I think I tried to bring you
Right.
over
You
once.
did, yeah.
Like, hey, you want to come over? You're like, no, I'm more of a high school. And then I joined the senior high. I didn't join. It was more of Marty Galindo at the time, who was the superintendent, actually says, hey, Herman, you want to go to high school? I need you there. And so you can't say no to your boss. And
No,
he was a cool guy.
very
So yeah,
cool.
that's how I joined Southgate High as a principal for senior high school and director of secondary services after that when I left Southgate Senior High. And then I was here. I left to uprooted my entire family 8 years ago, and I became the assistant supervisor services for Campbell Union High School District for 7 years, a little bit over 7 years, which is very different than a larger district like
Sure.
Cali. Like smaller districts are interesting because you're doing everything, but it's at a smaller scale, but you're over so many more programs and yeah, and things that impact student achievement. And then after that, I got the itch to, become a superintendent. I was actually eyeing Alum Rock since I got here because it reminded me so much of the east side, the southeast, Boyle
Okay.
Heights. And
East
so
side of LA, yeah.
I looked for it, yeah, and so I thought I could make a difference. And it was one of the most, it was the lowest performing district here in Santa Clara County, and so
Okay.
they need some work, and so, but
Wow,
but then
that's a long resume and for such a young man. But
shoot, 52, yeah, over 52. I don't look 52, but yeah,
no,
look at the
no.
grade.
How does one apply to be? I'm not interested, by the way. I'm not asking because I'm interested. I'm just wondering, how does one apply for a superintendent position like that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. The whole resume, when you sit down and you start working on your resume, you realize the experience that you've had. And oftentimes I think we have that imposter syndrome where we think we're not ready for things, but yet we're always telling our students, do it, do it, do it. And us as adults sometimes are like, yeah, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna do it. I tell you that because those are the conversations I've had with many administrators and aspiring leaders. But yeah, applying for a superintendent position, usually they hire a firm, a search firm. They have leadership associates. They usually hire someone that will conduct a search. And I actually got a call from this firm because I had previously applied for a couple of other districts where I was a finalist, and that encouraged me when I thought, man, I made it to the final round. I think I have a shot. And so, but yeah, applying, there's a process, the search firm, you submit, they have minimum qualifications, the board of that particular district. sets up the criteria of what they're looking for, whether it's desired or required qualifications. You don't have to have an administrative credential. I know there are waivers and all that, but I think yeah, it's a lengthy process.
'Cause it's like a political
Resume,
position too, though,
letters
right?
of recommendation. I'm sorry,
I'm sorry. It's kind of like a political position as well, though. That's why maybe you don't need
very
to have it,
political.
right?
It's very political. That's one of the things that yeah, I think you have to learn how to navigate. Um, And yeah, they are very political. Remember, these are board members that have, constituents that voted them in. And
Hmm.
so they each come in. One of my mentor or trustees from Campbell put it this way. When you become the superintendent of a district, you have one boss with five personalities. And so, and I kind of, really, let me see how that works. And so because each of them, they get complaints,
Sure.
uh, concerned citizens, and usually you have some citizens that are very, consistently at board meetings or, following the board meetings. Not all board meetings are always, you know, attract a large crowd. But yeah, the whole process, you go through the search firm. I think each district puts out whatever their qualifications of who they're looking for and what they're looking for. But and then there's for some districts, it was a straight interview with the board. And with Alum Rock, it was you had like a three-step process that you had to go through. It was putting together some type of agenda item for a particular board topic that you would want to present to the board, and then putting together a presentation for them regarding that particular topic that they're asking you to address, and then an interview. I had two interviews, one with educational partners, teachers, parents, all the three labor partners, Teamsters, CSEA, the teachers union, and administrators and district staff. And then the other one was with the board. So then they rate you. Board always makes the final decision, and then the search firm will either call you with good news or they will call you with bad news.
And you didn't know. You didn't have a
Varies.
clue. You didn't have a clue where you were going to go, right? Because I'm sure they interviewed a few people, correct?
Oh, they usually interview usually for and I tell you this because from talking to other colleagues, some districts will get 30, 40 applicants. And so then the search firm goes through a screening process, a background check. They actually, one of them was very interested. They contacted what I heard from some of my staff from LA that wrote me a letter. They asked them, "Can you give us a name of someone else
Oh, gee.
that Herman has worked with?" And so
Okay.
not only are they checking your references there, they also yeah, and they ask you for letters of recommendation. I don't think the letters of recommendation make a big difference. I think what makes a big difference is the your past performance, right? Because
Right.
they do also take a deep dive into your
Sure.
metrics, right? What has he
Right.
accomplished in, these other districts that he's worked for, and can the people that he's worked with talk to that and
Yeah.
confirm it or not?
So, like a year ago, like this month, you were hired in this wonderful position. You were
September 3rd.
excited. Things are going great. And it was funny because about a few months ago, we had Dr. Arturo Delgado on, a former LA County Superintendent. And he
Uh-huh.
once told me, Jacob, when I got hired, I knew I was already shot. I didn't know where the bullet hit me because we're already fired already. We just don't know when that's going to happen. And in your case, it happened about 11 months later, right? And can you tell us what happened? Because I mean, when I found out this situation on social media, I'm like, what the heck? This guy, what did they do to this guy? You know? And then you and I talked, and I said, oh, okay, I get it. I don't
Yeah.
get it, but I heard it. So can you tell the audience, just, tell us what happened? This
No,
wonderful
yeah,
job that you were hired for to do.
repeat that last question. I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm saying like, you were hired to do this wonderful job to
Oh,
help
yeah.
children in this northern California district.
Yeah.
And yeah, tell us
Great
what happened.
district with a lot of need, but also a lot of great things. Not everything is bad or in a district, right? I think it's really about your system that's creating those results, and it's just a matter of understanding what that system is. And so, but we know academically that district you know, was not doing what it was supposed to do. And so, yeah, it was very exciting when I first got hired there. I like that that analogy of you don't know where you yeah, where you got shot.
Right.
But for me, I would say it started about 3 weeks into it, or maybe less than 3 weeks into it. Right before the day before my first board meeting, the board president had asked me to look into some expenditures that were on a board agenda item, um, usually reimbursements. And so this particular board member was getting reimbursed large amounts for like the past 5 years or so. And so she brought it up very just like as a matter of fact type thing. Can you look into it? And I thought, yeah, but this is going to board tomorrow. And so I didn't approve any of the reimbursements. It was all the previous, administration. And so when I looked at the expenditures after she left, because I went to the business office, I looked and I thought, whoa, I got shot. That's
Right.
So let me understand this. When you looked, by the way, there's an article about this situation. We will link it to this video. You already knew, oh, this is not going to be good for me because
oh,
I'm not going to let this one go. That was your thought process.
oh no, I told my wife, let me tell you, Ruben, this is a conversation I had with my wife. So I got home and I said, there are a lot of things what is it? The shan's gonna hit the fit. Yeah.
Right.
Or something like that. Yeah. I don't know if I said it right. And
No, I think you did.
I talked to my wife. I said, hey, I'm in. That's it. I have a contract. You have to remember, as a superintendent, you negotiate a contract. So I had a 12-month payout. So they have to pay me out a year salary plus benefits, which is very expensive for the district. If they do not have cause, there's no way they were going to get me on cause. No freaking way, right? And so
Right.
it it so I knew I was walking on eggshells, and I told my wife, I said, hey, it's going to get ugly. So I may be unemployed. I thought they were going to fire me maybe in a couple of months or so. But you start seeing the signs, and I thought, how am I going to approach this? Because I had to close schools. This district, just so you know, just to give you some background, this district, so many people told me, do not do it. Herman, why are you leaving? It's impossible. One of the FICMAT experts, Don Zimring, there's an article on this, by the way, and I think Ed Week, where he interviewed me.
Okay.
I'll forward it to you. He interviewed me and Manny Barbera, who's my mentor, who also facilitated the closures. This guy's an expert, whom the board had hired as an interim, and whom I hired then as the facilitator to close the schools, right? But anyhow, he told me it's impossible. Like they've tried and tried to close schools. No district has closed more than two schools. It was my understanding in state of California, and so I had to close 10. So, so here's the thing. Do I go after these reimbursements now, or do I close these schools? And I thought priority one is we're bankrupt third year. Every district has to have a solvent, a fiscally solvent budget for 3 consecutive years. We have to show that to the county, right? We're bankrupt third year. So we had enough money in the bank for 2 years. Third year without closing schools, we're bankrupt. And so it was very hard for people to wrap their head around that and how significant that was. And so I managed to focus on that, and I got them through it. And we ended up closing 7 schools, six this last year, one more this year, at the end of this year, and then consolidated 4, which was really combining schools
Yeah.
and reducing the staff administrators. You don't need a principal to write, you don't need custodian staff. And so, because I had classrooms with 12, 15 students. I had schools with 240 students, 220 students. I had middle schools, and I was like, and what's interesting to me, Jacob Rubin, is that
Mm,
I come from LA Unified, right? And it was very hard for me to empathize with principals because they're like, "What do you mean you're combining two schools? I'm gonna have 545 students." I thought, man, that was one of the small schools. That was smaller than the
yeah.
right than some of
I was
the.
that's a PE class.
That's right. That's a PE class. Um, So yeah, so it happened early on, and I could see it coming my way, and I knew I had to now address that after the school closures, which was after December when I got it through because we had to submit a fiscal stabilization plan to the county that certifies that we are going to be fiscally solvent. In January, we had to submit our was it January? No, in March, February. I believe it's late January or March or late February. No, I think it's in March. Sorry. Uh, we have to submit a second interim report regarding our fiscal status, right?
Right.
We actually got the additional savings from some of the other closures and some of the other cuts that I had made throughout the year of a little bit over $3 million. So it put us instead of a 20 million to down to like a 16 million. We had a savings. Of course, I had to lay off a lot of teachers, a lot of staff, clerical, maintenance and operations. I mean, it's sad. You have to serve over 100 people with layoffs. It's just heartbreaking. And a lot of them are working two, three jobs just to make a living. The Bay Area is just so expensive to live here. I mean, um, but we got it through. We got it approved, and we had a positive certification.
Mhm.
And I was commended by the county. They spoke at the board meeting, sent a beautiful letter to the board, and so it's like there's no way you're going to get me on cause, no freaking way. So, but yeah, then I had to finally submit, and I dove deeper into the reimbursements, and I ended up finding other questionable expenses where there were some expenses, and I don't care if it's $20, I don't care if it's $30, right? These are dollars that need to go into the classroom to students. Um, but when you have a trustee that's getting reimbursed for a doctorate program, when the teachers, by the way, I need to emphasize this, we have teachers that are enrolled in high needs subject areas, and you have them too in LA Unified. California allows for waivers, like for example, special ed, right? That's an area that's a huge need
For sure.
where the district, we were reimbursing them 2,000, no more than 2,000 a month. This person's getting 4,500 or so per at, per year. In one year, it was close to 9,000 or more in like 6 months for like 18 courses, doctorate classes. How in the world are you completing all these classes? And so,
So that to just kind of bring a fresh focus on this, you are approaching, well, first, you are looking at the books of expenditures
mhm,
from the Board of Education, who you answer to,
my bosses,
this group of people really who hired you,
right?
and you are noticing a um, a situation in which they are taking money for now. Let's take a step back. There is a thing. There is a reality to for in the world that we inhabit here in education. For those who don't know, where we get credit, we get money, we get stipends for any extra education classes that are relevant. Usually, if it's relevant to what you're teaching, right? So that's one of the features of being a teacher is that, hey, it's nice that I'm getting smarter and being a better teacher and I get to turn this voucher in, and I could get paid for this. What you are noticing, though, is that the board, a member, was taking classes that is maybe more for personal benefit rather than educational relevance. Am I right? Is this about right?
You're right, except for the maybe. It's a yes. So there's no way that a board member, there's no way that constituents voted somebody in to get this person it's just unethical to get this person a doctorate that will benefit that person, not the district.
Not children.
So exactly, right? Not children. There are board bylaws and there's board policy that allows for teachers, right? We have the contract that allows teachers to move, up in their salary and also get reimbursed. But there's a board bylaw called 9240, which is board training, which emphasizes that it should be to improve your boardmanship, your governance skills, to better understand educational issues. So when I look at that board policy bylaw, I read it, I look at the expenditures. And by the way, the expenditures and the reimbursements that this person had, there was no supporting detailed documentation. How in the world are you going to tell me that just because you submitted a visa authorized expenditure or whatever that you got from the university, that does not give me an idea of whether these courses were actually taken? I need transcripts.
Of course.
I need a detailed receipt of which courses.
Wow.
So I was caught and it was what
Just to add, just to emphasize or just to clarify here, it is possible. The implication of what you're saying here, Mr. Cerda, is that it is possible they didn't even take this course. They didn't even take this program.
yeah.
Hey, reimburse me for a program I didn't even take. That's really
Or maybe
interesting.
someone else took a course in the family, right? Could be
Well,
anything else.
so many things could have happened, right? Or could happen. We don't know. Which is why I was pushing for the extraordinary audit. Um, what 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 I did do is I made myself a promise and I said, I know I'm gonna be gone. It's just a matter of when, right? Um, and so I would get home, my wife's like, when's your evaluation? I go, my evaluation is every board meeting because what I decided to do was I actually asked the board, there's no way you're gonna get me on cause. And so usually boards usually put your evaluation like once or twice a semester or once a semester to give you like a mid-year and give you feedback. I said, nah, I want feedback because I want to make sure that I'm addressing it. And so every board
It's
meeting,
good.
I said, I'm going to do that. And I want to know what you're going to tell me, what feedback you're going to give me. Very little feedback they were giving, very little feedback. But then when I would get feedback, it was more like, oh, there you come. Oh, there it is. Right. And so I'm saving those for later, by the way. But not later in the podcast, but later in
All
I'm
right.
waiting for the audit. And but yeah, I think the hardest part for I don't want to say it's the hardest part, but I think the fact that these are my bosses, right? And I know that I can get fired gave me more of a sense of urgency on, okay, what can I set up now so that we can move this district in the right direction. So that gave me the opportunity to get a baseline system study through to better understand our system, our data, why are our kids performing the way they're performing, what is our system producing, right? And a lot of times, so here's the thing, every system, and I'm sure you've heard this and I'm chopping it up and I'm not, every system was designed to give you the results that you're getting. So it's just a matter of understanding what that system is. And so we conducted a very thorough systems baseline system study and then also revised in 3 months. I was so proud of my staff. I had such a beautiful team. I think everywhere I've worked at, Jacob, I've had such a wonderful, amazing staff
Yeah, I
and
think you have.
teachers. You guys are awesome. And but it's just a matter of letting people, you get out of their way and just show like this is what we can do, right? So how do we get there? And we revised our strategic plan in 3 months, presented it to the board in late June, got the phase one of the work we were going to do after that, which was, and we did it in Southgate. I don't know if you remember, we had the RAM writing program,
Oh yeah.
and then we also had, okay, identify the essential standards. But over here, what we call
Right.
them is the floor. Identify the 25 standards, right? And this was all teacher driven, teacher
Mhm.
developed. They developed the assessments. They identified the 25 standards for their grade level because it was elementary, but also for the subject areas. And so I got that through and I thought, all right, they haven't fired me yet. And this is like late June. And so my evaluation, they came, I got my evaluation, my mid-year evaluation, July 17th, and that's when it hit the fan. And that's when I realized, okay, this is not going to work out with this district. And so I realized that's when I saw the writing on the wall. And July 31st and by the way, I did have to contract an attorney. And so
Right.
I was working with an attorney throughout this whole process. But
I was
uh,
thinking, are you care have to be careful on some of the things you say probably too, right? I mean,
so long as I don't disclose any closed session items, I'm
okay.
not disclosing anything that was discussed in closed session. There's no
Right.
attorney-client privilege here. I
Okay.
have privilege on a lot of what I'm sharing with you because I emailed the board president directly,
Okay.
and so and then there were some emails with the attorney, but these are my emails.
Mm.
I hold it.
Okay.
That's my privilege,
Yeah.
and so I was very careful with that. In that. Yeah, and then it just got to the point where yeah, that last board meeting, July 31st, my staff didn't know it. A lot of people didn't know it, but I thought it's happening. My wife's like, no. She was watching the board meeting and she's like, what happened? They came back without you and yeah, and that's when they decided to unilaterally terminate my contract.
Wow. It was like a vote to
Without
four
cause.
to one, right? Was it 4-1?
It was a 4-1. I was a little shocked that it was a 4-1.
Okay.
I thought there was another trustee there I just wasn't expecting that person to vote that way, but um,
But no
I
cause,
don't
like
know.
you always said, no cause. There was no
There's no
cause.
cause. They did not get me on anything. If anything, and the thing was, I think what was very frustrating for me was I've never been fired in my life, and so
Yeah.
it's even though it's going to happen when it happens, you're still like, you know what? I did the right thing. I followed through. There's no way that I was going to cover this up. This is what it is. Pay the money back if you owed for fundraisers. I will tell you that two of the trustees, I got them to pay the money back, so they did pay it. So
Good.
they paid whatever they owed, and they were okay with that. That's why I was a little. Um, One of them did not, and so. We'll find out who that is when the county completes their
Also doing an
export.
audit.
Oh, they're auditing them right
Oh,
now.
good. Good.
Yeah, but the first 10 days I couldn't say anything because I was still employed by the district. And so, but it just, what was upsetting me was the following day, it was like, it was so late. It was like 11 at night or 11:30 at night. No one knew I got fired. But that morning, my phone is just blowing up from, the media and no comment, no comment, no comment.
Right.
And then questionable, why, what did he do? And it's like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And so I say anything, how do you defend yourself?
What do they say when you confront? How do they respond to pay back what you owe? Um, because I would think, you know, from what I'm hearing, they felt humiliated. Maybe that's the cause, but they're not going to say that, right? We were humiliated, but the answer could be, okay, we're just going to quietly pay it back because they could have done that, right? Okay, oh, we overlooked it. Pay it back. They keep you. They don't have to write a cause. We move on. Could they have done that?
Yeah. All this person had to do is, hey, you know what? I didn't know that this did
Yeah.
not align a board policy. I did involve general counsel, but that's another questionable thing with that person that's there. It's a one-person firm in a district, which is very questionable to me. I was not allowed to bring in external other uh, just
Like a
general counsel,
rep, right? Like a
legal
union
counsel.
rep or something.
No, not for me. You as a superintendent, you don't have, you're unrepresented. But what I
Okay.
mean is if you're running the operations as a CEO of an organization, you need to have multiple legal options to work HR, work. We had one person there, one person working the HR, one
Strange.
for a one person firm, and I thought I couldn't bring this person or this law firm. I couldn't bring this other law firm. Whereas in my other district, we had like five, six options. I can't get to this person, then I'll go to this person. So there were a lot of questionable things that I think should be audited as well. I think there needs to be like a civil, some type of yeah. Yeah. The problem I think is really the board. Um, there needs to be, more training and governance. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I think there are a lot of areas that I could have improved on. It was my first year as a superintendent. I mean, come on, who doesn't need to, improve, right? Or work on areas of growth. But
Well,
but
Ruben, yeah, but
go ahead.
Ruben mentioned though, Herman, that they could have done something different, but you could have also played ball. Other superintendents probably played ball. You didn't play ball, so if you did
Well,
play ball, you probably have your job right now.
what do you mean by play ball, though, Jacob? What
Do
does that
Go
mean?
along
just
with it.
overlook, go along with it. Overlook. Oh,
Yeah,
just
well, yeah, right.
you know what I'm saying?
So meaning not hold people accountable.
Right. Don't hold people
Right.
accountable. But you said no, I'm not going to do that. And you said like in your first month, you figured out, okay, this is going to go
Yeah,
this way.
it was the first month. You start seeing the signs. You start seeing when you're putting together an agenda item. Because remember, every 2 weeks at the time we were having a meeting pretty much every week, a board meeting every week, and so you're developing an agenda to give this district, to run the operations, right, to move this district along. And you can start seeing it in where there's pull and where there's push. And you have to, and this is where the political comes in because you also have to understand the politics. Um, that to me, I was still trying to figure out who's where, right, and who. Um, there were just yeah. Anyway, it was, yeah, the whole. But here's what's interesting, and this is something that when they interviewed me, they asked me a question. One particular board member asked me the question as that it was actually they asked it at both in both the stakeholder committee and also the board interview. The question was, what is your definition of integrity? And that's
Wow.
that's how I came back at them. I said, hey, it's about integrity. It's about doing the right thing. And my response was very simple, doing the right thing. That's
See
it. That's how simple it is.
that's what it's like. This kind of thing drives me crazy. Where these are the kind of people who speak about having integrity. They probably use phrases like, "Hey, speak truth to power." You know what I mean? Like these are the worst type of people often who shout the loudest about integrity and they have no integrity. It really drives me crazy. I want to first say one of the things I wanted to mention to you, Mr. Cerda, is that I really appreciate someone like you because you don't really see that often. Jake and I have had made many videos about accountability in education, about certain districts that have gone to pot in terms of things that you have addressed within this the context of financial, um, the reason why you keep accountability in the financial because it trickles down to often kids with special needs, not just those students, but those are the ones who bear the brunt of I don't want to use the word fraud, but of certain unethical practices like this, financial misdeeds, and it's the students who bear the brunt. Um, and
Yes.
so I appreciate someone like you because we don't see enough articles, we don't meet enough people who've done things like this. To me, I'm an English guy, literature guy, so to me the literary comparison is Hercules taking on the Hydra, the many-headed snake. That must have been very challenging as you talked about. I'm done. Um, so I just want to say thank you for keeping the feet to the fire of these powerful people, but also I can't get over the fact that it's going to get worse for them now because had they just said, "Oh," it's kind of a weaselly thing to do, but just say, "Oh, I didn't know. Here, let me pay it off." But at least it's over. Now what it looks like to me anyway, it's like not only did we take money, we're gonna fire the person who called us out. Like it looks like it's gonna get worse for them. I mean, am I right about this?
Oh, absolutely.
I think so.
I'm hoping, but here's my thing though. I think I, I just hope that, and they're getting a lot of pressure right now because there's other things that are happening in that district. There were just so many things that were lacking there, systemic. I mean, it was just part of the whole system there. There was a lot of neglect. For example, the board policies for that district, I think the majority of them, I would say 90% of them were last updated in 2013. So not only were their board policies not updated, and I updated them, by the way. And so I didn't get to add them to the agenda in August, which was supposed to happen. I don't know if it has happened, but that board bylaw was going to get updated with a change in language. And so, but yeah, I'm just hoping that more people get involved in the community. And this is a very hardworking community. A lot of the parents there are working two, three jobs, immigrant community. And so it's just very hard for a lot. The people that are involved are not the ones, right, that are struggling financially, right? And so, and those are the ones that are involved in voting these people in. And so, and this person that got this doctor, he's been on the board, I think, for over 15 years. So
Mm,
I'm sorry, are you doing it just to, benefit
yes,
on
love to
your
try.
own and you think this is right? And I think what upset me the most is at the board meeting, because I watched that board meeting where um they called I think it was this yeah, it was a regular board meeting where he defended himself and he's like, I followed the procedures, reimbursement procedures. No, you didn't. If
Right,
you would have followed the procedures, you would have provided the documentation, the detailed documentation that's called out in ed code. Okay, fine. The previous administration or former administrators that were there approved it, but that doesn't mean it's right because there were other documents that he submitted for reimbursements that had detailed documentation. So
yeah.
he knew what he was doing. And
Hmm.
so question mark, it's not even a question mark. It's more like slam dunk, right?
Yeah.
And so, and those were things that were upsetting to me, but yeah, no, but yeah, I'm just hoping they're held accountable. I don't know what, I don't have the transcripts. I don't know if he submitted all that. And so, but once the audit, because they're going to have to report in 45 days, they're going to have to, the county has to report in an open session their findings of, right,
Right.
whatever it was that are the issues and how they need to be addressed.
Okay.
And they're going to report it out to at a board meeting. And so, but I'm wondering if you pocketed money. Well, one, there are tax implications.
Back
embezzlement,
taxes too, right? I mean,
back
yeah,
taxes, like you lied. So, and the county's going to have to revise their books because whatever the district, because every year we have to submit a budget that certifies that everything has been certified,
yeah.
reviewed, and is to code. That
Wow.
was
But
so.
as I'm hearing you, I care about you so much. I'm I want the winning. I want good to prevail here. But like, how about you? Where do you see yourself? Like, where are you going to be at like in a year from now? I mean, are you still interested in education? Do you think maybe hooking up with another district? What's your thoughts on that? I mean,
So,
um,
so
I know it's still early, but
yeah, I've been approached by, as a matter of fact, someone from Southern California asked me to apply for a superintendency down there, and my family's here now. I uprooted my kids. Now they're all.
right, they're not
I
Giant
know that
fans.
they're adults too, but they're here with us, and I'm thinking, hey, you guys want to go back? And they're like, oh no.
Right.
It's very different here in the Bay Area. I never thought I would leave LA. That's my that's my home. But and a couple of other consulting positions. Um, what I told my wife was, I went hard for 30 years, and you get so used to the stress, but then you realize, like right now, I've been off for 6 weeks. I've never been off for 6 weeks, and so I've been reflecting a lot on everything that I've accomplished, and so I want to miss it more. I want to miss it more to a point, but I'm going to be very selective, and if I do decide to get back into it, what I was thinking was, and my wife's like so much on board, is going back as a high school principal.
Oh,
That's what I was
wow.
hoping to go back into. I thought, you know what?
You were
Or
good.
I was like, she missed. She goes, I miss going to the games. I miss going to events with
Yeah.
you. And so, and I miss being around the people. I mean,
Right.
that was my thing, just being around you, right? Just the
Ah,
sky. Uh,
yeah.
uh,
Yeah, we definitely miss you, that's for sure.
but same here. I mean, there were just so many, wonderful things happening
Yeah,
in the places that I've worked at. I mean, not what do they say? There's peaks and valleys, right? Not
yeah,
everything's, you're gonna have your moments, but
sure.
you work from those, and you just continue. We're still going that way. You still
Wow.
got this. Dust
Right.
yourself off. We'll be all right. But yeah, I want to miss it. I want to miss it a little bit more. Um, I'm still, I still get text messages from Alum Rock and from the other district I worked at. And LA, man, my phone blew up. I had so much support. Thank
Oh
you for the
yeah.
call too.
Oh yeah.
But I got so many emails. Just the love is beautiful. So that was
Well,
awesome.
this has been very sass. Thank you, sir. It's been
Oh
very
no, thank you.
sass.
You guys are awesome. I actually follow you guys. I'm
Ah,
there. I'm looking forward to the next one. I've seen so many of them.
oh,
It's,
cool.
it's great you're doing this. And I didn't know you were brothers. Jeez.
Yeah, we're
I
brothers.
didn't
That's
put
what
it
the mother
together.
says.
Like
That's what my mother
two
tells me.
Aguilars. That's awesome.
So you're saying that Jacob and I don't look alike as much as the other one and Jacob.
Yes, he looks more like the other one. And
You prayer emoji, thank you emoji.
and I think that you do have like the same eyebrows.
Yeah.
uh, The eyebrows.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you
Yeah.
guys are both awesome. So
Thank you. Thank you
I
for that.
appreciate you all, man. And thanks for
That
doing but thanks for doing the right work though. You guys are in there where it
yeah.
really matters. That's where the core happens, right? For the
Yeah.
real, it's magic.
Thank you for you putting people on notice,
Yeah.
people in power. We talk about it a lot, but it's nice to be able to tell my students a story about the real world, you know? And it's like sometimes people we talk in slogans. And my tolerance for BS as I've gotten older is just, I just can't, I don't have it anymore. But when I see a real world example that I could talk to people about, my
Yeah.
students about, I'll mention you. It's meaningful. It's powerful. We don't have enough. It's great. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate
No,
you,
thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
Well,
All right.
with that, we'll say goodbye and Pot and Deliver. We'll come back to you soon. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Night.